Hey, what's up? This is the AA Show. This is episode 3. My name is Antonio Aguirre, and with me are Jardine and Carlo. And we're gonna talk about a couple of topics today. And let's get right into it. Well, hindi ako pumili ng topic na to. Yung una. Pero I used to play this game. I think, kailan ba na? Season 2 ako nag-start. Season 2. Yeah, I have yung mga, alam mo yung mga skins na nakuha mo from end of each season. I think, I started season 2 kasi may skin now of the season 2 player. So, I think that's 2015. 2015. Grabe, no? So, Mobile Legends has been around since 2015.
Hindi lang. Kung season 2 ka, 2015 baka.
Yeah, 2015. 2014. So, 2014 pa. So, probably about 8 years. Guys, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not an expert. But I've been playing Mobile Legends actively from 2015 to last year. Nag-stop na kasi I removed my app. It's been taking so much of my time, but I'm still a huge fan of the game when my cousins and my brother-in-law Luis he plays. So when we get together, they all still play. So I still watch. So I'm kind of still up to date with the players and new stuff. But let's talk about the MPL, which stands for
Mobile Legends
Professional League. So what's going on in there? Anong bago doon?
Wait lang, baka mabash ka boss, 2016 nag-start yung ML.
Oh, 2016.
Talaga?
Fourth.
Oh, sige. Huwag mo ikakat yun, ha? Kasi ongoing tayo, eh. Okay lang yan. So, okay. Kaya nga tinanong ko sa, comment kayo, guys, kailan nag-start yung Mobile Legends. So, 2016 siya nag-start. Actually, nag-start ng Mobile Legends through a friend. His name is PK David. Shout out to Paul Kirk. Si PK nag-udyok sa akin na maglaro ng Mobile Legends. Parang sabi niya, ano ba itong game na to? Parang ano to yung nilalaro ko dati. Parang Dota. I was an addict sa Dota. I mean, ligo lang ang pahinga ko nun dati. Yung mag-a-unli. Uuwi lang ako para maligo. Yun, ganun ako. Kalaro ko nun dati sa BFC na Joros. Kami na kasi magka-village na kami. So, magkalaro kami natin ng MOBA. As in, tulog lang. Siguro, I will play for 48 hours straight. Tapos kain lang yakisoba noodles. Yung mga ganun. Tapos pa-juice lang, di ba? Pero ganun.
Canton lang sa home shop.
Pero at least with this, mas addict ka kasi hawak mo lagi yung telepono mo. So nakakabit ka lang palagi sa charger. So addicting talaga siya. Mobile Legends is a game that's here to stay. And it's a fun game. That's why it takes so much of your time. So for me, I just had to remove it just because it takes too much of time. But again, I'm a huge fan of the game. So, tell me more about MPL, kung anong meron doon. There's 8 teams pa na yung MPL nakita ko.
Kasi last season, nag-start na yung franchise-based na tournament. Like, you need to buy in a slot doon sa mismong tournament. Kasi dati...
Paano sabihin ng pag-buy-in?
Dati kasi, ang nangyayari is, kailangan yung maglaro ng isang pang tournament, parang magta-tryouts kayo para makuha niyo yung isang slot. Yung below 2 from the last season, kailangan din nilang sumali dun sa tournament na yun.
So it kind of works like parang kang naglaro professional league sa like
parang
PBA, no?
and NBA. May team na kayo.
May team na kayo, okay. So kunyari, let's say there's 8 teams here that I see. Black, Bren, Echo, Next Play, Evos, Omega, Onic, RSG, and TNC. Is that right? And then they're all sponsored, which makes sense. Okay. So, ibig sabihin, each team has what? How many players usually?
Yung require ni MPL is at least 10 players.
10 players. Why 10? If lima lang naman naglalaro. Ano yung sub? Pag sumakit yung thumb mo?
Ang nangyari kasi is, dalawa na yung MPL. Like,
pag nalobat daw, sub.
Like may MPL, tas may MDL. Yung MDL is, yung mga player, yung 5 matitira, sila yung maglalaro dun sa MDL, which is yun yung lower bracket.
May lower bracket. So may high bracket, may low bracket. What's the high bracket for?
Yung MPL mismo.
Tapos yung lower bracket.
May mas mababang division. Ganun.
So parang sa college may division 1, may division 2.
Parang team B kayo.
Okay. So nandun yung pambato talaga doon sa top 5.
Nasa MPL talaga yung main.
Okay. So 8 teams. So sino dito yung malalakas?
Sa ngayon, ang nasa number 1 ng ranking is Echo. Kasi sila yung binansagan na super team.
Okay.
Na actually yung chemistry nila is nag-work na yun kasi yung core nila is si Cartesi, which is siya yung best core in Asia.
What's the name?
Carl TZ.
Cartesi.
Si
So,
Carl Nepomuceno. Siya yung MVP nung last M2,
okay.
which is Bren pa siya nun. Tapos last season kasi nalaglag
So,
yung...
Bren Esports siya before. Tapos lumipat din. Pwede pala yan, no? Jump team ka.
Parang
trade.
At, ganon.
parang NBA.
Oh, wow. So, may trade. So, may mga team managers din yan, mga ganon.
Yung mga sponsor nila.
Sponsor, yeah. Okay. Let's not mention the sponsors anymore. Okay.
Tapos ayun, last season kasi nalaglag yung Bren na parang sinasabihan din siya ng mga tao like nawawala na siya ng gana
Yeah.
maglaro. Ngayon, this season ang nangyari is kinuha siya ng Echo. Na-buyout siya ng Echo from Bren. Then, sinasabi ng mga tao na hindi mag-work yung team kasi yung main five ng Echo is like superstars from
Okay.
different teams. Kasi si Yawi was from Next Play Evos. Si Trey Martizzi was from TNC.
TNC,
Sila yung
yeah.
mga
Parang silang dream team. Ganun.
Oo, ganun. Sila yung super team ngayon ng MPL, which is wala namang kukontra kasi lahat ng series na natapos nila is 2-0. Parang isa lang yung naka-1 or nakatalo sa kanila sa bracketing.
Okay.
5-0 nga sila sa standing ngayon.
So, nakita ko dito parang regular season. So, merong 8 weeks. Week 1, up to week 8. So, currently, nasa week 3 tayo. And then, there's standings here of yung mga bawat game. Like, 2-0. First to 2 wins. Okay. First to 2 wins pala sila, ganun. Interesting. So, where can you watch these games that you see here?
Meron silang Facebook page.
Yung MPL mismo.
MPL
Okay.
PH. Tapos meron silang secondary, I think that's MBBL
Oo.
na page. Tapos sa YouTube naman kasi, they have 2 different streams. Like, may isang commentator na English lang, all out English, and then Filipino version nung stream. Ganun sila
Right.
mag-stream. Bali, 4. Pag may laro, 4 yung stream na pwede mong panoorin ng sabay-sabay.
Okay. Yeah, I see here the albums and shows like each player, their favorite heroes, ano yung mga roles nila. Okay. Stig to
Sa page ng mga team, hindi sila nag-stream.
Depende, hindi lahat.
Saan?
Sa page ng mga team. Kasi di ba bawat team may page, may Facebook page.
Oh yeah, bawat team may page sila. So most of course, they have Facebook, they have Instagram, some have YouTube channels, some may actually lahat sila may TikTok.
No.
Tapos some has Twitter, which makes sense. For sure, they're all monetizing their streams across these platforms because a lot of people really watch the feed of these gamers. They follow them like, you know, they're superstars.
Like basketball players.
Para sa mga basketball. And some of them are really young. Right? As young as 12 years old, may mga ganong players, di ba? On a team.
Ang youngest ngayon is, I think, 14 or 15 years old.
14, 15 years old. See? I mean, you're a professional player. You know, you're a professional esports gamer at age 14, 15 years old, and you're getting paid legit money for it, right? So, you know, I mean, so pag sinabihan ka ng nanay mo na, ano ba, laro ka ng laro, hindi ka naman kikita dyan.
Dati lang yan. Dati lang yan.
Dati lang yan. Sabihin na naman, Toma, oh. Tingnan mo to, oh. Yung ranking ko, tingnan mo. Number 1 ako.
Dati kasi puyat ka lang sa com shop eh.
Oo. Dati puyat lang sa com shop, kahit ano, nananalo na kayo, pustahan, cup noodles lang yung pustahan eh. Other than this, ano pa exciting with the league here? Because what's at stake? Yun pala. What's at stake here? Because how much are we talking about? For sure, there's prize money.
Last season, from what I can remember, it's around 1.3 million.
1.3 million. Wow.
At the same time, kung sino yung last 2 finalists this season will be part of the M4. Yun yung MOBA tournament all over the globe. Lahat ng teams
so global
ng buong
na.
mundo maglalaban-laban for M4.
So one of these teams will be sent to the global event.
The last 2.
Last 2 teams.
Yung
Okay.
maglalaban ng Grand Finals.
So entry ng Philippines yun.
Sila yung-
So mga kalaban mo yun, the best from probably Korea. May mga
Japan,
ganun.
Indo.
Pero di ba Mobile Legends is for Southeast Asia only?
Before.
Nag-expand na ba? Kasi alam ko for China, they have a different game eh. They don't use Mobile
Lagi
Legends.
naman iba yun sa China.
Oh, di ba? Kasi iba yung server nila. So this one includes now which countries? Like Korea,
Indo,
Indonesia, of course.
Indonesia,
Malaysia.
ah,
Singapore?
Singapore. Meron ata, may
Okay.
Singapore ata.
Check mo nga sa mga
May
bansa sila.
Cambodia na eh. Cambodia,
Ayan,
Laos,
Laos.
Vietnam, Myanmar.
Wow, ang dami ha. Ha?
NA wala. Ang isa lang
NA?
yung team nila actually.
Ha? Wala ta sa
Last year,
US.
yung
Asia pa lang.
may Filipino na player na nakalaban ng blacklist ng M3. Isang team lang sila na nag-represent ng NA for M3.
Ako yung
Parang
player ko,
random
yung
team
player
lang.
ko na Mr. Soulstam naka-register US eh. US yung flag ng ano ko. Para hindi lang magulo. Konti lang. Oo. Actually, na-hack nga yung account ko before na pinasok siya. May ibang
Kasi
gumagamit.
nga sa skin.
Siguro, tsaka lagi ako bumibili ng diamonds.
Yeah, yun, factor yun.
Parang
Mga-
gumastos ako before 10,000 para makuha yung kay Mia na Modena butterfly na. Yung
Ito
ata
pala,
yung skin,
Yung price pool ngayon, $150,000.
$150,000
Yung
for...
prize pool, pero yung first team parang champion, $35,000 yung take home nila. Then 20, 10, tapos 5,000 sa
Saan yun? Sa
MPL.
as dollar sa pinag-uusapan.
Oh, yun na yung currency kasi maraming ang bansa rin na tournament.
So yung sinasabi mong price na yun is for Philippines only?
Oh, for Philippines to.
Wow. Laki. So,
$35,000 sa champion.
akala ba 150?
Hindi, sa champion yun. Yung 150, yun yung prize
Yun yung
pool. Parang
divided.
yun yung hati-hatiin sa apat na mananalo.
Tiyatiin sa mga mananalo.
Oo.
So yung grand champion is,
$35,000.
tapos second,
20, then $10,000.
yung last two.
Yung
Yung
fourth,
last.
5,000 na lang.
5,000.
Okay.
Pwede na.
Pero I think they hindi lang sila they don't rely on just winning the pot prize. It's because there's so many sponsors, so these sponsors pay these athletes.
Hindi siya about lang dun sa pool. Kasi every game na naglalaro kayo, may prize pa din yun. Na
How?
binibigay
How
sa
does it
inyo.
happen? Every
Di ba,
game?
kunwari best of 3.
Oh, best of
Kada
3.
isang panalo mo doon, may certain amount na ibibigay sa MPL sa team nyo for that day.
Okay.
Ganun. Kaya hindi lang siya, kunwari, may weekly na earnings yung buong team kung ilang laro yung nalaro nyo on that certain weekday.
How do you get to the teams though? Kunyari, ikaw, feeling mo magaling ka na. Like, you win an average of 80% of your games. I'm pretty much a little above average. Like, yung win rate ko parang 57% lang sa mga ranked games. Pero I've seen players who are 80%, 85% win rate. Like, how the hell is that? Parang bawal matalo.
Ngayon, most of
Nagpapa-audition,
teams,
diba?
ayun, nagpapa-tryout sila.
Papa-tryouts.
Or they will just require yung player na above 3,000 na
Matches?
points. 3,000 points,
Points.
of mythical glory. na
Oh,
rank.
wow. Tapos doon sila kumukuha.
Tapos maglalaban-laban yun.
Okay.
Pero kasi since nag-start tong franchise base, kapag kumukuha, kunwari si NXP Evos, kukuha siya ng hindi pwedeng isang player lang. Kailangan isang buong team
Para
Okay.
may chemistry.
para may
na.
chemistry na kagad.
Oo, importante kasi you're playing 5 versus 5 eh. You cannot be, a great assassin tapos wala kang support
Wala
from
kang team play.
So usually mo kasi ang bubuhat siya yung assassin, 'di ba, sa team. Kung hindi magaling yung fighter mo tsaka tank mo, wala ring tapos walang babawas from the marksman. Hindi ka rin mabubuhat ng assassin basta, 'di ba? So kahit na magaling assassin tapos walang chemistry, walang teamwork yung wala rin talaga
Tsaka kasi depende rin yun talaga sa nagsha-shot call. Mostly kasi ng mga shot callers sa MPL is support or tank.
Support or tank
Yung setter talaga
Oo, setter.
mag-initiate ng play. Pero kasi dun sa problem, like may magaling ka nga na
Individual,
assassin or
oo.
core, individual. Pero
core player.
naglaro ka sa isang professional team, tas kumbaga hindi nyo na-master yung chemistry.
Oo.
Mahihirapan talaga kayo.
Kumbaga lang, isang kindat mo lang sa katabi mo, alam nyo na yung gagawin nyo. O kaya pag isang message lang, alam na nila kung nasaan sila. Oo.
Ganun.
So map awareness din kasi yan eh. Hindi ko pwedeng nakatapa-oho lang na. Doon ka lang nakafocus.
Tambay-tambay ka lang.
Oo, nakatambay kasi. So you really focus on what's going on outside of your map. Pag nawala yung kalaban nyo, na huwag kayo masyadong nagpupush, di ba? So a lot of factor goes into that. So it's really teamwork. That's what makes the game fun to play and even to watch. Like now, I call myself more of a spectator than a player. Kasi I don't play the game. But, I watch feeds of sa mga YouTube channels, sa mga streamers, sa Facebook. I watch them. And it really, takes up a lot of your time watching them. Right? And some of them are really, really just, entertaining.
Samantalang ginawa nga yung ML, parang saglit ka lang maglalaro di ba?
Oh, I mean, it's a game na parang 15 minutes, okay ka na eh.
Oo.
One game ka na eh. Kaso, you end up playing 8 games and you're playing there for the next 3 hours. Right? I remember when I was playing na, like, magme-message na kami sa Discord ng mga friends ko ng 9 p.m. o 10 G na. So, from 10 to 1 a.m. Matik yun. Like, Monday to Friday, 10 to 1 a.m. Tapos, pag may win streak, kailangan matalo muna bago GG. Bago umayaw. So, minsan maabot pa kami ng 3 o'clock, madaling araw. 4, minsan 4. Papadeliver na kami ng grab food nun kasi hindi na kami maalis sa mga pwesto namin eh. Tapos, pag sa bahay, naka-share ng wifi kami. So, I remember, meron kami isang game na nilaro. At yung game na yon parang weird. Bigla na lang, akala namin nawala ng wifi. Parang nag-exit yung buong game. Lahat kami nawala. Parang bug siya. We're playing. Tapos kami, 9-game win streak. So, busit kami ng 9-game win streak. Tapos bilang, as in nag-exit yung game. Tapos, lumabas loss. Parang tapos every time nagre-reconnect kami, loading lang tapos loading error for 5 minutes. Pagbalik namin, wala na. Forfeit na kami. Weird. Pero, ayun, it's one of those. Pero it's those things that makes them memorable with the players that you play with. Kumbaga, I play for fun. I don't play for, to be a competitiveness. And you're competitive to some point. But if you want to do this repeatedly over and over again, eventually you'll become really one of the best talaga in that. Like, pag laro kami ng friends ko, may isa kaming shot caller and he's an assassin. Like yung friend ko si Mike, pag siya yung kasama namin ng laro, siya yung nagko-call lang shots na jungle, dito, ganyan-ganyan. Tapos, sumusunod lahat kami. And so talaga umuubos. As kami, doon na kami nakakausad, kumbaga. So,
may team leader talaga dapat.
Oo. Tsaka if there's no communication talaga, mahirap. I remember, if we don't talk, that's the time we lose. No?
Miscom talaga.
Pag hindi kayo nag-uusap, yung parang mamaya doon na marinig si Sian, ba't di ka sumunod? Diba? Ganun mga sabihin na, ano ba naman yung set mo? Sablay.
Basta team play talaga importante yung comms eh.
Hindi pwede talaga hero ball. Para sa basketball, ISO. Diba? Puro ISO lang, hindi pwede ISO. Kasi, karanihin ka talaga eh.
Putos ka kay coach mamaya.
Oo, putusan ka talaga eh. Diba? So, dito, ano pa meron sa MPL?
This last week na mga games, bumalik na yung offline tournament.
What's the offline tournament?
Face-to-face tournament.
Oh,
which is mas naging mainit kasi
nanonood ako niyan dati sa Glorieta eh. Remember before, ina-invite ako sa Glorieta Activity Center sa gitna. May mga MPL tournament na kinukuha ko parang guest tapos to share it to watch and then stream it live or what, is bigyan kami ng para stream. Ano yan eh, it's huge. And now that the world is, opening up for business again.
Pero ngayon yata, players lang yung face-to-face tapos yung mga staff. Bawal yung
Feeling ko, within this year, you're gonna see fans again. I mean, maybe wearing masks, but there's gonna be tons of crowds. If you're seeing politicians, garnering hundreds of thousands of people in one place, why not, in a gaming perspective, right? Or a tournament. So pwede talaga. So dito sa MPL, ano yung magandang abangan dito? Like after the 8 weeks end, kasi when they're in week 3 now. So what happens after week 8 is that you go to the playoffs and then yun na yun.
Yun na siya.
Okay. So it probably ends around May. Mga
kasi parang
end ng April ganun.
Usually kasi yung M2 tsaka M3 nangyari siya last around August to September. So ganun yung hinahabol nila. Kailangan maabutan nila yung M4.
So marami na tong seasons na to no? Sobrang dami na to. Ayun regular season started February 18 eh. So yeah. Okay, so this is gonna be fun. So if you guys wanna check it out, you can most likely check out their YouTube channel and
your
Facebook.
Facebook page.
Yeah,
Facebook page.
see more of that. Okay. Okay, so let's go on to our next topic, which is one of my favorites. It's the NBA, and with less than 20 games to play for each team, more or less about 20 to 18 games to play in the season. We're seeing a development here on who are, the real championship contenders and who are those that are just in it to reach the playoffs, right? I mean, there's going to be the playoffs, but before the playoffs, there's going to be a play-in tournament wherein the 7 and 8 seed would battle the 9 and 10 seed for the rights to get the 7 and 8 seed, which makes it more fun because as the season ends, pag nasa 9, is usually mga 10 seed na, 11, wala na silang chance to get in the tournament. But right now, it's looking like for the East, Washington and New York still has a chance to make in the play-in tournament because they're just, 2 or 3
wins.
3.5 games away from the Atlanta Hawks, which is at number 10. Disappointed with Atlanta Hawks. And like in the West, number 11 Portland, number 12 San Antonio, and Sacramento, I think, still has a chance if they want to push to get to the 10 seed and have a chance to get play-in tournament over the New Orleans Pelicans. And the Lakers, they're struggling heavily right now, even with LeBron James in their team. The last 10 games they've been at, they have a 2-8 record, so it's really bad, But no one wants to face a healthy LeBron, a healthy Anthony Davis, and a dangerous Russell Westbrook. You can laugh about Russell Westbrook all you want, but that 3 players come playoff time, they have an on-off switch, so they can turn it on in the playoffs. And no one wants to face the Lakers as an 8 seed or a 7 seed in the playoffs. Trust me, LeBron knows what the playoffs are and knows how to win a championship. But with this one, pag-usapan natin dito is among the East leaders and the West leaders in the standings, sino dito yung tinatawag nating real championship contenders and sino yung pretender. So, we'll start off with the East.
Miami
So,
Heat.
we'll only focus in the top 6 teams because I think most likely team 7 to 10 are not real contenders. Like, I don't see anyone from 7 to 10 as a contender. I don't see Toronto as a contender
How
to a
about
championship.
the Nets?
I don't see the Hornets as a contender. The Nets,
The Brooklyn Nets.
I'd be afraid to face the Nets in the first round as an 8 seed. It all boils down to health. I think when you have a healthy Kevin Durant together
Kyrie
with a 50-50 Kyrie Irving, the only problem you're gonna have with Kyrie is that you can't have him in home games. So he's not gonna play in home games. So ibig sabihin, when he plays at home for the Brooklyn Nets, he cannot play because of a New York mandate. So for example, nakalaban nila sa first round, kunwari lang New York, which will not happen, he cannot play because that's New York and New Jersey and Brooklyn is in New York as well. So may mandate na if you're not vaccinated, you cannot play. So you only have Kevin Durant and possibly Ben Simmons. I mean, Kevin Durant can only do so much as a player. So I would put them as a pretender. I would put them as a playoff team. There's a chance for them to win a championship if Kyrie plays their home games as well. If he's not playing their home games, it's not enough because the Nets' defense is their offense. They will outscore you with their players. And the Hawks, they're pretty disappointing for me. So I would have expected them to be in the top 4, top 5 teams this season with the way they played last season. Disappointed. And my favorite team, the Washington Wizards, they're 11. I'd be happy for them to just reach a play-in tournament at the 9 and 10 seed, but that's about it. Last year, they went into the playoffs as the 8 seed and didn't do so well. So, in the East, I'm looking at number 6, Cleveland, and they're the Cinderella story team here. No one expected them to be a good team. I would have put Atlanta Hawks at 6, and then Cleveland would have been number 12 or 13 in the rankings. But, they got lucky with this player. His name is Evan Mobley. He's probably the rookie of the year. I think he's gonna get better. He's like a version of Chris Bosh / Kevin Garnett, right? That kid's gonna be a monster, and I'm lucky to have him in my NBA fantasy team. because ang ganda ng hugot ko sa kanya nung nakuha ko siya.
Parang si Kevin Love na lang yun nandito sa championship team.
Yes, Kevin Love na natitira. Yeah. So he's the veteran in that team, and then Darius Garland, the all-star who's leading them, and of course Jarrett Allen also is an all-star. So that team is strong, but I don't see them going past like the second round. I don't see them going to the Eastern Conference Finals. So for me, they are a pretender. The Celtics, while they've been red hot ever since Marcus Smart came back. They're like I think 13-1 when Marcus Smart plays. So they're a very strong team, but I don't think they have enough to warrant a contender slot for me. I mean, I love Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. I think they should give it one more shot with this duo. Magaling talaga itong si Tatum is like, he has the Mamba mentality with him, and Jaylen Brown. The problem with Jaylen Brown lang kasi hindi siya consistent. He's a 23 point per game scorer, but he's not, 23 points per game. He's like gonna give you 30 with this game. Next game is gonna give you 5 points. Next game is gonna give 50. Next game is gonna give you 10. So if you're a superstar, you should at least be able to score 20 to 25 points 9 of the 10 games that you play. And
Pero as a player, boss, tingin nyo bakit nagkakaganon?
it's mindset. Their mindset changes, and maybe it's because of their distractions. I mean, you can see Michael Jordan, he's done it consistently. Like, he scored at least 10 points like in a record number of continuous. Like, LeBron James has scored 10 points continuously for the longest time. Yeah. Right? So, it's all about mindset and the team play that goes along with it, right? So, I think it's down to consistency of the player and how they play.
Di ba depende sa kalaban na parang na-check nila?
Hindi rin eh. I mean, you could score lesser, but not all the time. Like especially in the regular season, you could clamp. I would say a player is not judged by their consistency in the playoffs kasi in a 7-game series nakokontrol sila eh. Napag-aaralan sila. So pagkalaban mo isang team na for 7 games, alam nyo na ito yung best shooter nila, kailangan lockdown kayo dito. Ito yung best rebounder nila. Ito yung lockdown defender nila sa so for full court press kayo na to ng player na to all the way. So alam mo na yung adjustment na yun. Kaya the playoffs is always a game about adjustments. And the game will always be what they say about a bucket. If you don't have a bucket getter in your team, that's why with the Milwaukee Bucks, Giannis will not take the last shot. Right? It's gonna be who? Chris Middleton or Jrue Holiday, because they're shot makers. They can create their own shot. The Greek Freak can, score from the inside and from the outside in, but when you need the bucket, you go to Chris Middleton. He's
sa clutch time.
Sa clutch, right? When you're looking at clutch players, but with the Celtics, I definitely have Jason Tatum holding the ball, but I feel like they're lacking like that inside presence that they need. Al Horford is old already, so I would put them as pretender in the pretender category. Sorry, Celtics fans, like especially my brother-in-law Kuya John, huge Celtics fans. I'm sorry, but Celtics are not going to go to the championship. We're talking about who's going to the finals here.
Kulang sila ng center eh.
Right, and even when healthy. I mean, even I love Time Lord Robert Williams. He's a really good defender, excellent rebounder, pick setter, but he's not enough as a center for them. I would have loved for them to have gotten Miles Turner from Indiana. That would have helped them stretch the floor and get the shot blocker that they actually need, but didn't happen. So there. Next up, Chicago Bulls. I'm worried about the Chicago Bulls just because their record is abysmal when it comes to teams with the record of 500 and above. Sobrang sama ng record nila against the top 5-6 teams, yes, in the East and West. So, and DeMar DeRozan has a history of, choking, they say, in the playoffs. Medyo choker but he's having a phenomenal season so far. Like MVP worthy caliber type of season. He's been doing that ever since. Like when he was in the Raptors, nung kampi niya si Kyle Lowry with our problema lang nung nasa Raptors siya is that kalaban nila LeBron James at Cleveland Cavaliers and Miami Heat. Sipin mo, Miami ka tapos naging Cleveland ka. So nung lumipat siya ng kailan nangyari? Nag-champion yung Toronto, 'di ba? Pero sino na nandoon? Si Kawhi Leonard. Hindi kasalanan ni DeMar yun. So he wasted a couple of years in San Antonio who were basically about to rebuild, but I think it would take a strong postseason for DeMar, and first timer na magpo-postseason, I think si Zach LaVine. But they have a very strong core. Even with Nikola Vucevic, their center is really good, and their young players, Kobe White, they have Tristan Thompson who has a championship, and they have the GOAT, Alex Caruso. I think, but he's still injured, due to the Grayson Allen injury that he sustained. But I would put the Bulls in a pretender category until such time that DeMar has proven that he can win in the playoffs. Like, he has to prove that I'm not just a regular season type of player. He's a bucket getter. The great thing about the Bulls kasi, they have two bucket getters, right? DeMar and LaVine. And DeMar can kill you in the mid-range. That's his game. It's not about the three ball. But Zach LaVine will kill you on the three-point lane. Vucevic can take the outside shot, but LaVine can, be clutch all the way for them and DeRozan. So they have two bucket getters. So anything can happen. I would put them in more. I'm leaning like 50-60% towards the pretender. But there's a percent in me that says they're a contender as well. Next, Milwaukee Bucks. Of course, this is a team of a contender. Now they're gonna get a healthy, their center, Brook Lopez, who's a monster. A player who's a 7-footer that can block shots and defend and shoot the three as well. So you don't underestimate what he can do for the team. He hasn't played all season. Now he's gonna go back. So now they have a starting core of him at center, Giannis at power forward. Then Bobby Portis, you can switch him with Giannis with 3 and 4. And then you have Chris Middleton, and you have Drew Holiday, who is like the modern day version for me of Gary Payton. Like, he is Gary Payton, but and in a much, he's a lot better scorer than Gary Payton, to be honest. And I think Drew Holiday is what elevated the Bucks as a team. Sila nagpagaling sa kanila as a team. So I'm pretty sure, and he's a bucket getter. Again, the game is about a bucket. It's now the game is about a bucket because of the isolation plays that happen. It's not like, like the Chicago Bulls before na may triangle offense and such. Wala nang ganon. But with him, you have a bucket getter, you have Chris Middleton, and of course, Giannis can still make plays, but you don't expect him to shoot the three for the game winner, right? Unless he has the ball in his hands, no choice. He'll take it. But he's improving his three-point shot. The scary thing about Giannis kasi, hindi pa siya nagpipeak.
He's young.
Hindi pa peak si Giannis Antetokounmpo. So, that's what's scary about him. And now he's shooting confidently that pull-up jumper from top of the key. Three-point shot. If he gets that consistently, like, he averages consistently, like, mag-average na siya consistent like 1.5 3-pointers per game. Like 1.5 to 2. He's gonna be scary because no one's gonna leave him open sa labas. Now you have to defend him close, and where it's dangerous is when he drives in the middle and kicks out, or he drives in the middle and dunks on you, just get out of his way, right? So Bucks are legit serious contenders for a championship, and they could go back to back. Feeling ko kaya nila mag back to back yung Milwaukee Bucks. I think and the great thing is they're like San Antonio. They're not built they're built through the draft. This is a team built through the draft. Except Drew Holiday, but that player that you traded for him came from a trade as well. So small market team. The small market team, no one wants to sign with you. Like, unlike the Lakers, the Bulls, people would sign with them. If you're in Miami, Knicks, people would, even if they're dysfunctional as a historically as a team, that's the mecca of sports. People would love to sign with it. But like small market teams, like my team, the Washington Wizards, even the Boston Celtics, it's rare that they sign up good names. So again, Milwaukee Bucks, contenders, legit. Our first legit contender in the East. And next one is the Philadelphia 76ers. Ooh.
Pero boss, kung lang yung opinion mo na parang Giannis stopper yung Miami Heat.
We'll get to that. I think, yeah, that's true. And hold that thought when you get to that number 1 seed.
Okay.
right now. But next up is the Philadelphia 76ers, which I believe, okay guys, temper down expectations. They're not Kobe and Shaq, okay?
Harden and Embiid.
Harden and Embiid are not Kobe and Shaq 2.0. They might be Kobe and Shaq 0.7 for me. But no disrespect, but they're really good. I think if they're both healthy,
Prime Embiid and Prime Harden.
Prime Harden.
Yeah.
Kasi,
they possible they're contenders for me. What do you think?
Kasi si Harden, ever since na naglaro siya sa Brooklyn, nag-iba kasi yung laro niya, like naging team player siya.
Right.
Before
Kaya gusto
kasi
niya magpa-trade, di ba, nun? Yeah.
Prime niya kasi, kahit
Sa
tumira
Rockets.
siya,
Sa Rockets. Oo.
walang pakialam sa kanya eh. Kasi
Correct.
alam kung paano
Star
siya
player
maglaro.
siya eh.
Star player
Oo.
siya eh. Then nung napunta siya dun sa sa Nets, dun lang niya na-realize.
He had to defer to Kevin Durant because of that. And they've been teammates before, and I felt na dapat he could have let that go. But one of the key factors as well, I think, was the 50% Kyrie Irving that you're getting. You're supposed to be a three-headed snake, right? Those three players, they don't need defense with them. They'll give you 90 points. All those three players, 90 points combined, and then bahala na sa defense. They can do matador defense, but for you to win against us, you'll have to outscore us, and no one's gonna outscore those three. But then here we are. Harden is with the Sixers, and I think he doesn't think now that he's the alpha here, because he has a lot to prove. He has a chip on his shoulder now to prove that. On his age, he's about what, 32? 32 na si Harden.
30 plus na si Harden.
Right? He is in a pababa na yung peak niyan eh. So pababa na yung niya, prime niya. So I think this is his chance to win a legit championship with the Sixers. Now he has a two-man game. He's never had this kind of big man with him. No disrespect to Dwight Howard, but Dwight was not the Dwight Howard of the Orlando Magic that he got in Houston.
And he also got Clint Capella that time.
Yeah, Clint Capella is not Joel Embiid. So he's a rim runner, but he's not Joel Embiid. And Joel Embiid could be the MVP this season. Maybe not Jokic, because their team standing is not so good. But I think Embiid could win the MVP this season. But he doesn't care about the MVP. He wants the championship. So he wants the chip. And as I would say, he's 1A and 1B with Jokic as who's the best center in the league. And again, that player is about a bucket too. Embiid is a bucket getter. He's like Elijah Wan mixed with Kevin Garnett, with Kobe in him as well. And that's a legit 7-footer doing spin moves on you. Imagine mo in the PBA if you have that kind of player.
A legit big man.
Tsaka
Sobrang laki ni Embiid eh.
Tsaka fluid, very fluid yung yung footwork niya.
Kaya niyang mag-coast to coast as a big man.
He can dribble from the rebound and take it coast to coast. He has that kind of dream shake with Hakeem. So he's got the entire repertoire in terms of offense, and he's a very, very good defender as well. And we're lucky now to see him entering his prime. I think he's entering his prime na healthy, na hindi siya injured. Di ba yun ang problema sa kanya before, like injury, pero no, my God, next Greg Oden na to. Di ba, Andrew Bynum na naman to. Pero hindi, we're gonna get a good glimpse of him as a healthy basketball player. Let's pray to the basketball God that he stays healthy so we can see him and Harden probably in the NBA Finals. So I think the Sixers are a legit contender for the NBA Finals to win a championship. Which brings us...
As long as healthy si Embiid.
Yes.
Kasi problema ng mga magagalaw na center
okay,
yun.
we're predicting everything based on health. Okay? So if hindi healthy yung team, all bets are off. Okay? Walang yan. Kasi pag walang Embiid o walang Harden, wala na. Pretender na. So forget it. But if they're healthy, we're talking about a healthy full team. Like when I said sa Milwaukee Bucks, kasama nila si Brook Lopez. Yes, they are championship contender. Pero kung wala si Brook Lopez, may hirapan sila because they won't have someone to defend Embiid. He's gonna say barbecue chicken all the way with this. So let's go on to the Miami Heat, which I think I make a prediction towards the end. If the Miami Heat faces the Bucks in the Eastern Conference Finals, which is a huge. No, it's not a. It's not. No, 1-4. Yeah, it's a huge possibility because they're number 3. Kunyari, 1-3. I think the Bucks will not win in a 7-game series against the Miami Heat. The Miami Heat are made to be defensive stoppers. Like the Nets will not win over the Heat in a 7-game series because they would lock down one of the players. They'd let Durant score, whoever score, but anyone else will not score against him. This is a deadly defensive team that you have, and you have Coach Spoelstra at the helm, and you have a scary lineup of Bam Adebayo, who's a great defender at center. Jimmy Butler, who is a Swiss Army knife, can do everything for you. He's a bucket getter, certified bucket getter, defensive presence. And you have the heart and soul now of the team, which is Kyle Lowry. He's the leader of the team because he handles the backcourt. Yeah. And you have a great shooter in Duncan Robinson. And your power forward is the undersized, but the great defender, PJ Tucker, who's a real tough guy. Very, very scary. And I haven't talked about, my fringe all-star, Tyler Hero, right? He's one of my favorite players right now. I bought his jersey. I love Tyler Hero, and I think sky's the limit for him in terms of being one of the best players in the league.
Third year pa lang, di ba?
Third year pa lang, and I'm sure he's gonna get the 6th Man of the Year award. So Tyler Hero, he's a certified bucket getter, and they're a great defensive team. Very sound on defense. They play on a team perspective. They don't play hero ball, pun intended. Tyler Hero, but that team plays hard-nosed defense, and I think they're the ones that can stop Giannis. They're the ones that can stop Embiid. They're the ones that can stop Harden. So even the Bulls, they can stop DeRozan, and they can stop most likely Miami. If Chicago's number 4, they could, if the playoffs started now, they could face them in the second round. Chicago would lose to the Heat, definitely. Yeah. So the Heat, I think, are due to go to the finals. I don't know who they'll meet, but I think they could win the championship this season with this type of team. And the great thing about this is that this is a team that will most likely not have like a top 100 type of player. Because they're like, remember the 2004 Pistons?
Chauncey Billups.
They're the only team with a championship that did not have a top 75 player. And no disrespect to Jimmy Butler, he might not reach the top 100 players in after 25 years. There's a lot of great players out there, but the Heat are very, very good defensively, and that's why I think na contenders sila. What do you guys think?
Kasi ako Heat fan talaga ako.
Heat fan ka. Okay.
Since 2008 pa.
Okay. So ever since they won with Wade and Shaq? Hindi pa.
Hindi pa. Nung ibang Shaq, ibang O'Neal na.
Si Jermaine
O'Neal na. Dun na.
Wait, nauna si Jermaine O'Neal.
Hindi nauna si Shaq.
2008 Jermaine O'Neal.
Pero nandun pa si Shaq.
Nandun. Ay, wala
na.
Isang season lang ata.
Phoenix na ata
parang
si Shaq
2 seasons lang ata si Shaq nun eh.
Tapos di pa sila naka-back to back.
Hindi sila. That was a great season. Okay. So, what do you think? Miami, are they going to the finals?
Kasi magandang addition talaga yung Victor Oladipo and Kyle Lowry.
Okay.
Diba? Doon sa Jimmy Butler na
Okay.
Sa Jimmy Butler na katapat ng Lakers ng 2019 ba yan?
Alin?
Yung Lakers tsaka
Miami 2020.
2020.
Yeah.
Kasi diba nung nag-bubble sila, iba yung performance ni Butler nun.
Oo.
Tapos may dagdag pa siya
Bubble
ngayon
Butler.
May dagdag pa siya ngayon na Victor Oladipo tsaka Kyle Lowry. So, mas scary sila eh.
Yeah. Nakatakot kasi si Kyle Lowry, he really controls the floor. He's a legit floor general talaga for the team. Binaba mo naman yung level. Floor manager para sa beer house. Parang ginawa mo janitor.
Taga-map pala.
Floor leader, floor general.
Floor general.
Yeah. So they have now a legit point guard that runs the show for them. And of course, Tyler Hero can bring the ball for them, but he's primarily a scorer. If down by 1 or 2, you give him the ball, he's gonna make things happen for you. And
tapos may
still
Duncan
young.
Robinson ko pa.
And then you have a Duncan Robinson who has like a disappointing season so far, but he'll maybe come around. He's a shooter. So shooters have very short memory. Meaning, if they shoot 0 for 10, if you ask them to shoot the game-winning shot, they'll still shoot it. They will not remember that they went 0 for 10. Ganun ang mga the great shooters in any team. So he's gonna come around, right? He's a real shooter. Okay, let's go now to the West. Let's find out who are the contenders and the pretenders. Of course, in the bubble, at number 10, New Orleans, pretender, of course.
Pelicans.
No,
Trailblazers.
they're not. Even with a healthy Zion Williamson, they're not contenders. The Lakers, they're only contenders for me if you have a healthy LeBron plus healthy Anthony Davis, and then you get, whatever you can get with Russell Westbrook, and then you have Carmelo Anthony. And then, of course, Malik Monk is pretty good. Right? So, I think, for me, yun lang. With health, I think they can turn it around. They can turn around their season. The Lakers are hoping that they can turn around their season with how Russell Westbrook turned around the season of the Wizards last season and became an 8 seed. So, they're hoping that with less than 20 games to play, that they can turn it around. And I think they could be contenders if, but there's a big if, healthy si Anthony Davis
And si LeBron.
and si LeBron. No one wants to face a healthy LeBron and Anthony Davis in the first round. Trust me. The Phoenix Suns would not want to mess with a healthy Laker team. Kahit na sabihin mo na masama yung chemistry ng team nila, it's playoff time, everyone listens to LeBron James. That's it. If you don't listen to LeBron James, you're out of the team. I don't care who you are, even if you're my best friend or what, you're Carmelo Anthony, get out of my team if you can't follow him. But I think they're a contender if they get to the first round. And Anthony Davis is healthy. No one's stopping Anthony Davis in the West. I don't see anyone.
Kahit si Jokic.
No. Jokic is not a great defender. He's an average defender, but he makes great defensive plays. But he's not gonna be like Marc Gasol, who's gonna be a great defensive.
Stopper.
No, he's not a defensive stopper. But he is above average as a defender. But scoring wise, he would be an MVP too. I mean, like I said kanina, you could be 1A and 1B with Embiid as the MVP. You could not go wrong with either. You could make an argument for both. But next, the Clippers, they're not contenders. Of course, they don't have Kawhi, they don't have Paul George, so they don't have a rat's chance of getting past probably the first round. Minnesota, surprisingly, they're very good. I mean, with the healthy core of Karl-Anthony Towns, Anthony Edwards, and one of my favorite players,
Russell.
D'Angelo Russell. This is a great core. Once you develop Anthony Edwards as the legit scorer for the team, I think they're going to be a contender in a couple of years. They're like Phoenix Suns before, and this team is really built through the draft as well. So I think they're going to come up, and I hope that they follow the trajectory of the Milwaukee Bucks na gumaling sila through the draft, right? And a few trades here and there. So not this season yet. Nuggets, if they get Michael Porter Jr. and they said that they could get Jamal Murray back in the playoffs, I'd put them as a contender. I'd put Denver as a contender. It doesn't matter if they're an 8 seed or a 6 seed or a 3 seed. They're gonna be legit contenders if nandun yung dalawa. Michael Porter Jr. and si Jamal Murray. Murray is their bucket getter. No doubt about it. That's the only bucket getter they have in their team. Forget about Monte Morris or who's this? Aaron Gordon. He's not.
Aaron Gordon.
They're not bucket getters like Jamal. You've seen what Jamal Murray can do in the bubble, right?
Yeah.
Bubble Jamal Murray is a beast as a scorer. So
Unexpected nga yun eh.
with him and Jokic, you have a good chance to win a championship if they're healthy. Again, it's a big if. So right now, without those two, they're pretenders. They're just in it and play. Number 5, Dallas Mavericks. This is tough because you have a young Luka Doncic at the helm. Now they've gotten rid of Kristaps. Thank you for giving my Washington Wizards the problem of having an unhealthy Kristaps Porzingis. Now they have Spencer Dinwiddie who's scoring 20 points per game We're in the last 10 games with the Wizards. He was only scoring 8 points per game. So they think that he was a problem. He's not a problem, right? The system was in Washington. So they have Spencer Dinwiddie as the second scorer, and then everything revolves around Luka Doncic. So he's like Larry Bird, or Magic Johnson. He makes everyone around him better. Like if you're average sa player, pagkakampi mo si Luka, parang yung 10 points per game magiging 13, 14, nag-improve ka. Parang you trust him more with the ball. And then Jalen Brunson is a very good scorer as well. And they have very good pieces. I think Jason Kidd is making them a 3-guard lineup with Doncic as small forward, Spencer as a 2, and then Jalen, because he's undersized, as the point. But
The number 1.
3-point guards, it has a way of working because the NBA plays small ball now, right? I mean, if you have PJ Tucker, who's an undersized center at 5, you could do that with any team, right? So I think Dallas is a pretender for me. What do you guys think?
Mahirap kasi si Luka lang yung ano.
Yeah, so
Kasi kahit
they're
si
they're
Boban wala
they're a
eh.
team that's one like Chris Middleton away from like being a contender, right?
Yeah.
Something like that. Chris Middleton or Zach LaVine away from being a contender. But for now, I'll put
Luka needs support.
yes, scoring support. So I would say that the
They're
Dallas
still a
Mavericks
pretender.
are still
Tsaka kasi
pretender.
yung last na napanood ko yung highlights nung Dallas, parang ang katulong ni Luka lang is clever. Yung forward nila na nagti-3-point shots din.
Oo.
So ayun, maganda rin yung factor nilang dalawa. Kaya lang kasi syempre,
Yeah.
makikita mo din sa laro ni Luka na nahihirapan siya kasi inside out, kailangan niya talagang pumuntos para umangat yung team nila.
Wala eh. Since being traded to the Wizards, si Kristaps Porzingis, Luka has been on a tear offensively. He's been averaging more than 35 points per game ever since. Getting more rebounds, getting more assists, almost a triple-double. So, he's been doing everything for the team.
One-man team na siya.
And great thing about Luka is that I think he's gonna have a very long career because he doesn't rely on athleticism. He's not like Russell Westbrook or like Derrick Rose that relies on speed. He relies on his wits, so may quick burst lang siya ng speed, okay na siya. Parang Dirk. But Dirk, didn't need his speed. He already has his height, so he can shoot anywhere. Yeah. So it's the same with Luka. So he's probably a player that Mark Cuban will try to keep happy for as long as he can and, make him a Maverick for life. So for now, that's the pretender. Next up is the Utah Jazz. This is another tough decision for me because I love Donovan Mitchell. I love his tandem with Rudy Gobert, who's probably the best defender in the league, interior wise. And losing Joe Ingles was a big hit because he's like a glue guy for them. But and then Jordan Clarkson has been a letdown this season. He's been really bad after winning the Sixth Man of the Year. He's been far worse. Like he has dropped back to earth ever since winning the Sixth Man of the Year. So sobrang sama ng performance ni Jordan Clarkson ever since, and it feels bad that you see that from him.
Yung naging factor yung palipat-lipat niya ng team.
Maybe, yeah, but I mean he became a Sixth Man of the Year with the Jazz. So I mean it should show that you're trusted to, because if that player, he's a bucket getter.
Yeah.
Donovan Mitchell's a bucket getter. Jordan Clarkson is a bucket getter. You give him the ball, stay off it the where they're gonna make buckets, right? Unlike Bojan Bogdanovic, who's a shooter, he's a scorer, but not like them. The thing is, if Jordan Clarkson does not make shots, pag hindi ka siya nakakashoot, naging liability sa defense because he can't offer more than scoring. He can't pass, he can't defend well. So, siya? If he can't score 20 points per game, what are you gonna offer the team? So, nothing. So, he becomes a liability. He becomes a negative on the plus-minus of the team. So, hindi siya effective. So, that's one of my key problems with him. But Donovan Mitchell, you know what he can do in the playoffs, right? A healthy Donovan Mitchell is really, lethal, right? So, I would say that the Jazz, if everything clicks for them in the playoffs, they could win a championship, I think.
Donovan is the new Wade.
But this is probably my weakest championship contender of all the people, of all the
Lowest
teams.
odds.
Lowest odds of winning. But they're a contender for me. They could reach the finals with this team. So, what do you guys think?
Kasi parang yun nga, yung si Donovan yung sinasabing bagong Dwayne Wade.
Right. It's like Wayne Wade 2.0, right?
So, plus Rudy Gobert. So, yun nga, contender din sila for me.
Yeah. They'll always be a contender as long as they're together. Donovan Mitchell, bucket getter. When your team's down by 2-3 points, less than a minute to play, you give the ball to his hands, he's gonna make things happen. He's gonna make the right plays. Like Dwayne Wade always did with the Miami Heat, right? So, they're a contender for me. Next up, number 3 seed currently at 43-22 is the Golden State Warriors. And I'm very excited for them because they have Klay Thompson back. But then now it shifts some of the minutes that Jordan Poole was having with their team. Kasi magaling si Jordan Poole eh. Like, with the bad seasons that they had continuously, Jordan Poole was the lone bright spot for them. So, the thing is now, he's having to learn how to play from the bench.
As a shadow na eh.
So, 6-man na siya. So, now, from an 18 points per game, he's now down to a 12-point per game scorer. But it's not a bad thing. Now, you're more stronger sa bench. And now, you're gonna get Draymond back before the playoffs. So, now you have your heart and soul back in the team. So, I think that the Warriors, with a healthy Steph Curry, even with the 2-8 record the last 10 games, they're a legit contender to the champion. No doubt. The Warriors are legit contenders for the championship. I really think that they could win it all again this season. And you would want, if you hated the Warriors throughout the years that they've been winning championship, you're gonna love them this season if they win the championship because everyone likes a comeback story, right? So you'd be happy to see this team back holding the championship trophy this season.
Yung Golden State kasi ngayon sobrang dami nilang backup when it comes to offense, like
May Andrew Wiggins pa sila.
May Andrew Wiggins, si James Wiseman.
Yeah, James Wiseman hasn't played since. My only concern lang kay Andrew Wiggins is that he was probably the worst starting all-star player ever. Like, all-star, okay. Yeah, reserve. But starting all-star over so many other players, I highly doubted that. That's why fan votes should not matter next time. Guys, should not vote for those type of players to be started, however popular. But Andrew Wiggins has fallen off ever since the All-Star game. Parang it's relegated to the 13-point per game score, and his stats does not even pop out like even before the All-Star game. Pero yun nga, that's a point of concern for me, Andrew Wiggins, and what he can do during the playoffs. So
wala pa siyang playoff mentality.
He's gonna be an X factor. If Andrew Wiggins does not score at least 16 to 18 points per game consistently for them, and then Klay has to be forced to, be the second scorer always of Golden State. He's not fully recovered yet. Yeah. So you get like 85% of Klay Thompson. So yun lang yung, I think, the X factor right now is if Andrew Wiggins does not score enough and do enough for the Warriors, they could become pretenders. So that's the major concern.
Kung hindi niya mapupunan yung kulang pa ni Klay.
Yeah, if he can't play the role of secondary, tertiary scorer, it's a big problem. But you still have Draymond Green, who's the heart and soul of the Warriors team. Like, the Warriors team will never win a championship without Draymond Green. Even if you laugh at this triple single stats, 8 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists, he's the heart and soul of the team. So without him, they're not gonna win any championship. So there. Next up, Memphis Grizzlies. I've seen a lot of people say, and this is their dark horse to win the championship. The Grizzlies are. Ja Morant has figured out how to play. At age 23, 24 years old? 23. The guy is flat out ballin'. Like, he could be, the dark horse MVP as well, perhaps, And it's scary now because he can get to the paint whenever he can. And when the game stops during the playoffs, the ball stops during the playoffs, you need someone that can penetrate on his own, during the playoffs. And he's a certified bucket getter. I mean, he's not great at the three-point shot, but he's a certified bucket getter. And then you have...
He can make shots for himself.
Yeah, so people can make an argument that he has a similar team almost to the Mavericks, but difference is Memphis has more shooters. Right? They have Desmond Bane, and wala pa dito yung isa nilang player na magaling. Dylan Brooks. He's a 20-point per game scorer. They don't have him yet because he got injured. Kyle Anderson is great. Brandon Clark is a great backup center. Jaren Jackson Jr. is their second best player. You have Anthony Melton is a great backup point guard. One of my favorite players is Aquaman. Steven Adams. I love his game. Like, you know, if he sets a screen, it's like going through a brick wall. He's gonna be great in the playoffs for them when the game slows down. And I think Memphis has a chance to beat the next team that we're gonna talk about. I think Memphis has what it takes to beat Golden State in the second round of the playoffs. They can beat the Warriors. When the game slows down, I think Memphis can win over the Golden State Warriors. So, with that, what do you think? What are they contenders?
Para sa akin, siya, contender siya.
Contender
Kasi
siya?
sobrang ganda talaga nung nilalaro ni Ja Morant. At the same time ngayon, madami silang outside shooter. Tapos napakalaking factor nung pagpasok ni Steven Adams.
Yeah.
Kasi yun yung problema nila dati. Malakas si Ja Morant, pero wala siyang katulong na big
Wala
man.
silang malaki.
Pero mo pinag-trade nila si Jonas Valanciunas for him, remember? And Valanciunas was a scorer. But defensively, Steven Adams is a lot better. You don't see the stats kasi with Steven Adams, what he does. It's outside the blocks, the rebounds, the assists. He does everything na hindi nyo nakikita with the points.
Like setting screens.
Setting screens. You know, setting solid screens is a huge thing for penetrators. Those that penetrate inside the lane. They need very good setters na screen. So Steven Adams does a great job of doing. He's been doing that when he was with Westbrook. That's why Westbrook was getting everything. It's because the lane was cleared for him by Steven Adams. Even for rebounds, you know.
Kaya nga nakaka-triple-double
Kaya nga triple siya. Hindi na lang kukunin ni tatabi ko na. Ikaw na kumuha. Triple-double na yan. Okay? So, I think
perfect match sila ni Ja Morant.
yes, Ja Morant will have a great time in the playoffs, I think. So, they're contenders. And lastly, we'll go to the defending champions of the Western Conference champions, the Phoenix Suns. What do you guys think? Healthy. Sama natin si Chris Paul na healthy for the playoffs. Contender. You think they could go to the finals too?
Dangerous kasi may Jay Crowder sila eh.
Jay Crowder is an underrated
Defensive player.
I mean, he's not underrated as a defensive player, but as a scorer, he's a streaky scorer. So that helps. And then now they have Cameron Johnson. He's a very good shooter. So now he's developed. Last season, he wasn't that great yet. They only had Mikal Bridges as a scorer. 3-and-D. Every team, championship pansin nyo, every team has a great 3-and-D guy. Yung parang defense, tapos 3-point shooter, defense, 3-point shooter. Yun ang ginagawa niya. Mikal Bridges is that for them. He doesn't need the ball to score, right? Like, he doesn't need the ball. He's catch and shoot. So, he's great for the team. I think one of the great pickups for them also is Bismack Biyombo. Great backup for their center. DeAndre Ayton is one of my favorite players as well. I think Phoenix made the mistake of not signing him to a big contract. But again, this is going to be fuel to his fire. If they win a championship, they're going to have problems signing him again. But again, the game will always be about a bucket. And I think Devin Booker is definitely a huge bucket getter. One-on-one, it's hard to stop Devin Booker. Mahirap. Sobrang imposible na. It's like he has the Kobe mentality, I think. Yeah. And then now that he has
wala akong maisip na itatapat sa kanya sa West eh.
Wala. He has the teachings of the mindset of Chris Paul as a leader. So I think they're gonna be very, very dangerous come playoff time. Again, they could win it all. And ang problema lang, if they face the Miami Heat, it's now someone's gonna stop Devin Booker from scoring. That's a big problem. But if it's
Jimmy Butler can stop Devin Booker eh.
Right. Anyone in a lot of players, a lot of players like can stop Devin Booker or slow down. You can't stop Devin Booker from scoring 20 points, but you can slow him down to scoring hard-earned 20 points. Yeah. Like you can make him go 8 for 27 to get to 20 instead of 8 for 16. Right? It's a huge difference, but they're gonna have problems if they face the Miami Heat in the finals. Not so much with the
Bucks,
the Milwaukee Bucks, right? And even the Sixers, if they reach the finals, it's gonna be easy pickings for Devin Booker in the finals. But I think they could come out west, top. They could top out the West again this season. mean, how long do you think can Chris Paul play? 2 more seasons?
As long as LeBron is playing.
As long as probably Chris Paul is like a year younger than LeBron James. So it's 1984, LeBron James 1983. So yeah. And
But-
great funny thing is that Chris Paul doesn't rely now too much on his speed, no? But he's
Hindi
still
na katulad
fast.
nung nasa
IQ.
Clippers siya
IQ talaga yung
Gulang talaga yung ano niya, no? Yung laro niya kumbaga sa Tagalog. Gulang yung laro niya.
talino niya.
Tsaka mas malakas siya nang nasa Suns kaysa nung nasa Clippers.
Oo, mas utilize yung skills niya.
Pwede nung nasa Rockets.
Oh, yun.
Mas
Sarap.
utilize yung play.
That was a
style
bad
niya.
combination with him and James Harden. And you can make a comparison between James Harden and Devin Booker. They're both, great scorers. But
The
Devin Booker,
mindset and attitude kasi.
and even if they're both superstars, Devin Booker probably has a different style of play pa rin with James Harden. And I think even if he thinks he's the alpha of the team, he
Tsaka
knows that the
tingin ko
leader
din,
is Chris Paul.
Nilulook up ni Devin Booker si Chris Paul eh.
Yeah, for
Siguro
sure.
nag-ano eh.
For sure. I mean,
Okay.
having a 10-year gap at least plays a big part in terms of chemistry. And they have very good in this team. You have very good locker room leaders. Yeah, on this team.
Mag-G is there.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna say. McGee is a great locker room presence for their team.
It's
So
like the Udonis Haslem of them eh.
right, and then all these players, they know their roles. Jay Crowder knows his role. He's not gonna do too much outside of his role. So you know what to expect sa mga bawat players nila. Kaya I really think that's why they're ahead by like 8 games. Oh shit. I
Pero
didn't
hindi
see
ba
this.
hindi ba yun magiging problema sa team kung masyadong predictable yung mga player?
No, they're not
Sa 7 games
they're not
eh.
predictable because they know their roles eh. And they know their roles, that's why they're consistent. Kaya any team that they face, even with a great defender, they know that they're gonna center around Devin Booker. They're still gonna make plays for Devin Booker to score. And you can play all the great one-on-one defense that you can do, but you're not in the 90s anymore. You can do hand checks like you did with Michael Jordan, diba? That you can hold them. Now you can't hold the player. So even if you play good one-on-one defense with anyone, you've seen what they can do one-on-one, right? In the USA teams and such. They know how to score. And if you don't have those players on your team, you're gonna have a hard time really scoring. Now he has a great backcourt mate magsiset up for him, which is Chris Paul. They could win the championship. I really think that they could win a championship. But if they face Miami, maybe not. Last thoughts?
Sino sa tingin mo ang makatapat ng Miami sa West, if ever? Yung talagang
If everyone's healthy, I would put my bet still on Phoenix to come out on top. If not, it could be, the Golden State Warriors. Depending on how...
the team na makakamatch sa Miami Heat ng ganun yung team play nila ngayon.
Well, I think...
Warriors no?
I think Warriors. Still Warriors. Curry will get his fair share of shots pa rin regardless of who's defending him with the Miami Heat. But they can slow him down. Pero I don't... The Heat are really built for defense. So I can't say too much outside of Golden State perhaps. I mean,
Kasi
Steve Kerr is a great coach.
Even the unstoppable Giannis nga, di ba?
Yeah. So it might not be enough. So I think the Heat, if you face the Heat and the Phoenix Suns, the Miami Heat will win.
Ikaw.
Who do you have?
So,
Finals.
Miami pa din eh. Kasi
Miami versus
Miami versus Phoenix din.
Phoenix ka, okay.
Kasi para sa akin, yung nangyayari kasi ngayon sa Miami, like kay Jimmy Butler, ganun, kung paano yung playstyle niya ng defense, ganun
Yeah.
si Kawhi nung prime niya eh. Like nung sa San Antonio Spurs.
Correct. Yeah.
Nung binansagan siyang daklo, ganun na ganun yung depensa niya eh. Kasi di ba sabi din ni Lebron na si Kawhi yung player na sobrang nahirapan siya.
Oh, I remember there was a video before of when LeBron was with Miami and nung bata pa yung Kawhi, during their back-to-back season, I think this was 2013 season, mag-free throw siya, tapos chinek back in si Kawhi Leonard. Pagtingin ni LeBron, parang nag-cringe si LeBron, parang gusto niya sabihin, Puchay, siya
Hirap
na
na
naman.
naman. Hirap na
Ayan na
naman.
naman yung kalabaw. Tapos Kawhi was still young back then, but I know what you mean by that.
Ayun, ganun yung na-adapt na playstyle ni Jimmy Butler. Pero
Yeah.
yung pinagkaiba nila is yung puso talaga ni Butler para mag-champion.
Iba yung
na talaga eh.
Iba.
Buhat kung buhat talaga.
Oo. Karpintero talaga eh.
Ganun na ganun. Tapos nadagdagan pa siya ng Kyle Lowry na
Tapos nag-improve pa si
sobrang layo ng
Tyler
range.
Hero. Kaya solid.
Pati si Bam. Nag-improve ng
Bam is solid. Solid talaga sa center. That's an all-star for me. Hindi siya nag-all-star, di ba?
Hindi.
Si Butler lang ang nag
Pero for me, Bam Adebayo, maybe because na-injure lang siya, but for me, Bam Adebayo is a certified all-star player. Sino sa finals mo?
Yun din.
Heat and Phoenix ka rin?
Oo.
Shit. Same din. Okay. Well, that's it. If you guys have comments, your thoughts about everything, please don't forget to leave a comment in the comment section down below. And we'll see you again on the next AA show. Peace.
Heat will win.
Hate will win. The Miami Hate will win.